Okay, we've been marking a big timber sale here on about an 87-acre parcel in Seboeis. I put up a video last week where we're trying to develop a prescription for it's mostly a pine spruce stand, very fully stocked, and we'll go into the woods and we'll look at that in a minute. But first, I thought we would talk about just the fundamentals of tree marking. Now, tree marking's been around a long time. You would think that to implement, prescriptions, professional prescriptions, in complicated situations, that you would have professional foresters designate the trees that the loggers should cut. And that is the way I was taught. That's the way we always teach it. Yet marking has become probably less common than it used to be. I think part of that is because harvesting has become highly mechanized. The people doing it are definitely more skilled at it, and prescriptions can be economized. We like to walk every acre of our land and paint every tree, except for, I guess, fir, but make the decisions ourselves. And I think that it's well worth it, actually. You can get into long arguments about whether investing the time in it, but we do it. But there's a lot of details to it, and one of them is just actually maintaining and using a tree marking gun, right? So we use these Nelson tree marking guns. I first started tree marking in 1975, almost 50 years ago, on the Yale Forest under Dave Smith. The gun that I used then was probably zero different than this one, right? There hadn't been any change in these technology. This is old school technology, and it works, but you have to know how to maintain it. So basically, it's just a piston. I'll show you the inside in a minute. There is this little thing here protects the nozzle. When you're ready to work, you screw that on top of your gun right there. And then you have, the first thing to know about it is this is the nozzle where the paint comes out of the gun, squirts it onto the tree. It concentrates it basically. It's reversible, so that if it clogs, you just take it off, turn it around, and spray it like that. And you see I just got a clog. That's interesting. And spray it like that, and out it goes, right? So that's what's going on here, right? So that keeps all this clean, right? So if you look inside the gun, you'll see what really makes all this work is there's a piston here that has a couple others in there. They go in both directions. The shaft you see is spring loaded, so you push down, the paint comes out of the can, out of the cylinder, out through the nozzle onto the tree. When you let up on the trigger, it sucks paint from the can into the chamber. You can see on the bottom here you have a check ball, and this valve unscrews, and this can be a source of difficulty if you don't keep this clean. You can see the inside there is your leathers with a nut that holds those on. Those last for years and years and years if you maintain them well. Some people have trouble with them. But this nozzle, you can see there's a little check ball on the bottom of that. If you're ever working and you have no spray, right, you're just pumping air with the gun, it's usually because that's not seated on the bottom. So you take your little nozzle protector, you take the screen, the little wire that's in there, and you just run it around there and clean that out, right? That's the way that works. Okay. So actually, when you're in long-term storage, you want to really take this out and leave your gun in diesel oil. In fact, you want to do this every night. You don't necessarily need to take this check valve off, but the reason for the oil and not paint there into something else is because the oil, kerosene or diesel fuel, will lubricate that leather in there, so you'll never dry out and will always stay functioning. So that's always an excellent thing to do. Keep oils. I mean, yes, it's expensive now. They used to be, but it's still, you don't need that much of it, and it's relatively cheap. The paint cans themselves are quarts. They're metal. You fill them up from, you either can buy them in a case filled. That can be fairly expensive, or you can buy the paint in a gallon, 4 quarts, and fill it up, which is what I do with this gizmo I've rigged up here. I bought a nice big funnel at Tractor Supply, made a frame for it so that it just barely sits into the can, and then I can pour from the gallon can into there without much of a mess, right? So this is sort of a little high maintenance aspect of this whole process, but so every day we've been going through here between the two of us, 8 quarts in the course of a 6-7 hour work day. Just quite a bit of paint, but that's what it takes. We're marking on both sides of the tree. Some people don't believe you have to do that, but in this prescriptions like we're marking here, you really almost have to, because it's a crop tree release. You have to be able to see it on all sides. What else about the guns here? I think that's pretty much it. These are not cheap anymore. They're hundreds of dollars a piece, but they're generally quite well made. I think the new models don't have this cup extension. This is old school. The tube is now shorter, but that shouldn't affect the technology here. So I think that's it for the gun. Let's stop here and we'll go in the woods. Okay, just a little bit more about managing your paint in your gun. It's helpful to make one of these little caddies. This was probably 45 years old. It holds 4 cans nested in there. Nice little carrier. So you put your gun, I carry 2 guns, and then we have, those are in oil, and then whatever else. We have if we need a can of yellow, it's here, whatever. And then this Keith Canody made me this really nice one as a retirement gift in 2017 from Pine, from the Demerit Forest, where he is the manager at our school property. And it holds another 6 cans. So we have a capability of 10 cans here, which is really handy. Keeps it from tipping over and keeps them organized. You really need to carry the lids, especially if you buy stock paint, right? The lids will be stuck, right? And they're hard to get off just by hand. So you really need to have a pair of slip joint pliers so you can grasp these things, and just put it right in your vest so you can open your cans in the woods. And then finally, the other thing is, people have lots of solutions for carrying the paint. This is heavy, right? So you're carrying, if you're going to work all day without coming back to the truck. In this case, we got full gun plus 3 extra quarts, which gets me now at least through the day. So I carry mine in the vest, right? This is my cruiser's vest. It has a nice big pocket in the back that can carry 3 quarts fairly comfortably. This is a nice vest. Jess today is going with her backpack instead of the vest. I like the vest because I want my compass, I want my prism, right, to check for basal area in my little prism pocket here, and I also need my flagging, right, because we're often marking crop trees for the prescription, right, so I need this. So if, it's why you have a vest, to keep all this stuff organized, and you get your pencils if you need to take some notes, whatever. So fortunately, my vest can carry this. It is a little heavy because you got your water and your lunch and everything else. It's just part of being a field forester, I guess. Also, never, when you change guns, change paint, you run out of paint after a while. Never let this gun lay down like this. The paint will run up into the head and it'll just make a mess. It'll dry in there. Always keep the gun vertical. Hang it on a tree. Hang it something else while you unscrew your can and put a new one on. Just let the paint drain off if you want onto the ground. It's not going to be a big deal. Just never lay it down like this, right? Just always keep it vertical and you'll have no problems. So we're ready to go to work here.